Well, let's delve further into this recent decision by Nigeria's government. We are joined by Basil Abia. He is a policy analyst and co-founder at Pan-African data insights company Veriv Africa. Mr. Abia, always great to have you on the show with us. Now, of course, what Nigeria's government seems to be saying is that crypto exchanges in the country are basically contributing significantly to the Naira's volatility, its devaluation right now in the market. Walk us through what the reasons are behind the government's latest move. Is it clear?
Well, I think first and foremost, thank you for being here. Thank you for inviting me to speak. Most importantly, the information was passed across via X, formerly known as Twitter, 2 days ago by the current special advisor to the president on information and strategy, Mr. Bayo Onanuga. And I would say that's the clearest connection with the federal government in terms of like the policy announcement. And according to what that tweet or what that post on X said, these crypto platforms, for instance, like Binance and Coinbase, were setting benchmark for how the the unofficial market prices of the naira against the dollar and other currencies were. So, to an extent, what they're trying to say is that these crypto platforms are now an appendage with which the naira is losing its value. Again, from other quarters, it's expected that federal government is looking at the crypto sector as a potential way to stop certain leakages, in terms of liquidity leakages. There has also been talks about foreign remittances from the Nigerians in the diaspora dwindling over the last 2 years, largely due to the advent or the reinforcement of crypto as now a viable sector with which Nigerians can use to send their monies from abroad into the country. So if you had an economy that used to take in roughly 20 to 25 billion dollars in foreign remittances, and then all of a sudden, just after the lockdown period in 2020 and the COVID period, and of course that led coincidentally to the sprout of crypto, you start to have lower numbers. Then of course some people in government will start to look at the crypto sector as a billion point. And just to conclude on that, Bayo Onanuga highlighted also that the crypto sector is bleeding the Nigerian economy. I have no idea what he means by that, but I think this is the clearest we can get from the federal government with regards to the rationale behind this crypto ban.
Well, I am curious to know what your thoughts are on this move, because many have seen it as a sort of U-turn on cryptocurrencies from this current government, because it had said it was all about market-friendly reforms, which, of course, investors loved. Is this move seen as an about-face on policy and also regulation around cryptos in Nigeria?
Yes, it is. Just a week ago, the Nigerian Minister of Digital Communications met with superstar Hollywood and British actor Idris Elba. And in the meeting, he continuously touted crypto, especially with regards to alternative finance, as one of the potential sectors for investments for Nigeria, as well as collaboration, of course, with Idris Elba and the number of things he's currently doing. For those who do not know, Idris Elba has been doing a lot of, I would say, business moves, not only in Ghana, in Rwanda, and Uganda, and Kenya, but also in Nigeria. So this, I suppose, was a business meeting, and it's an opportunity for a top government official to talk to a potential investor. And he touted crypto as a potential sector for investment, and only for a week after that, the government announces this. And again, whether we like it or not, it is a subtle ban. It's a subtle ban on crypto transactions when you stop access to these particular platforms. So it's a direct reversal, it's an auto reversal on the policy. It also sends a lot of shockwaves to the Nigerian crypto community, as well as investors who are looking at crypto or alternative finance as another sector that they can invest in the Nigerian economy. For me, from my own perspective, the lack of policy direction, the lack of policy clarity is also, doubling down on why the Nigerian economy is going through what it's currently going through. And near crisis moment, I would say.
Well, I'd like to pick up on something you said, which is the shock that it has had on the crypto sector in Nigeria. Because, as you mentioned, cryptocurrencies is on the rise in Nigeria. According to research from Chainalysis, Nigeria is actually the second only to India last year in the proportion of private wealth which is stored in cryptocurrency. So how are stakeholders in the sector reacting to this news?
Yeah, so to reiterate my point, the Nigerian crypto community obviously has taken this as a huge shock. They think that it is tyrannical from the government. They also think that the government really do not have any idea what is going on in the sector, and are asking for policymakers in the federal government in Nigeria to come and have a look at what's happening in the sector and have more clarity. It makes a lot of sense that they would be angry. First and foremost, on a year-on-year basis, this transaction volume in crypto when it comes to Nigeria, the Nigerian market, it's about 56.7 billion US dollars. More stats from Chain Analysis, the company where you got the stat about us being the second largest in terms of private wealth storage, is that the major reason why we or a number of Nigerians are, viewing crypto as a space where they can store their wealth or their store of value is because the Naira is increasingly using the status as a store of value. Devaluation by over 70% since the switch to a foreign exchange managed float system is another reason why, of course, no one is viewing the Naira as a store of value. I mean, if you put the stats, I think we're the fourth largest P2P exchange when it comes to peer-to-peer exchange in the crypto sector globally. And the major reason for that is, again, because people really do not view the Naira as a store of value. So where do you have access to hedging against Nigeria's inflation and hedging against the Naira devaluation? You go via P2P. So in P2P, you're able to change your Naira to a USDT, a stable coin that is pegged against the dollar. And when you do that, you keep it line follow, so that maybe after 6 or 7 months when the Naira is devalued by another 30%, you can look at your USDT holdings and say, oh, wow, I actually hedged against inflation and devaluation.
Well, whatever happened to Nigeria's digital currency, the e-Naira? Give us a sense of the progress on its adoption, the government's plan to make that currency mainstream. As you said, right now there's not so much clarity in terms of policy direction.
Yeah, there's no clarity in policy direction. I think one of the areas for policy fine-tuning would definitely be our crypto policy. It's just a mess. But yeah, going back to the e-Naira, when it was launched in 2020 or announced in 2021, it was lauded everywhere globally. I've read some IMF papers. In fact, there was an IMF paper that came out last year, in 2023, basically reviewing the progress of the e-Naira. And as at that time, volume transaction with regards to the e-Naira was very low, just about 40 million US dollars, according to IMF, that IMF paper, of course. And then there's more stats to tell you that it has been very slow. Adoption rate is below 0.5%. So roughly about 1.1 million Nigerians have used the e-Naira. A 0.5% adoption rate is, this is a country that is posing near 60% in terms of electronic financial transactions. And then you have your, I would say, your own CBDC having just 0.5% adoption rate. Yeah, it seems to be a problem. And a number of stakeholders in the sector are saying that another major reason why e-Naira adoption is very low is because of infrastructure. Network effects has not taken place. For those who are conversant with Nigeria's financial technology space, there is a revolution in that space with regards to merchants, or what they call agent banking. So this agent banking model is what a lot of financial technology players in Nigeria use for penetration and for network effects. So almost every corner right now in Nigeria, in both the rural areas or in the semi-urban areas, or even the urban areas, there is a stand with someone with a POS machine that has access to a number of payment mediums for Nigerians to be able to make transactions, for instance, like transferring money or paying for utility bills, or even, putting in some monies in their respective bank accounts. But then e-Naira isn't amongst those payment mediums. So there has to be a lot of work that the CBN will carry if they want to increase the e-Naira adoption. It is actually very tough to use. I've personally attempted using it. So I'll give you my own anecdotal experience. It's really tough to use. Last that I checked, the CBN were looking at tweaking the model, and one of the things they wanted to include in the model was contactless payment. It hasn't obviously the desired results because it's still not in use, it's still not popular. Maybe because they haven't built on the network effects nature of the Nigerian financial technology space, which means that you do more merchant education, you hire more merchants, you carry out some PR campaigns to make sure merchants understand how to use. And then, of course, from a user interface and user experience perspective, you make it easier to use the platforms to use. There's also the structural and infrastructure backlog, internet access, while being high in terms of people that access the internet using mobile, is still a problem. We have to talk about that. The internet quality is also a problem. And then electricity and access to smartphones. At the highest level of projections, only about 40 million Nigerians out of 217 million Nigerians use smartphones. So again, because Nigerians are not using smartphones in their numbers, then it's hard for them to want to look at INAIRA as a medium for payments.
Very true.
That's exactly what happens. Yeah.